Welcome everybody.
We are
Just before we
live.
begin, we would like to acknowledge that the 2023 Canadian University Ultimate Championships are taking place on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwa-Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis and the most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit of First Union, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge that Brampton resides within Treaty 19. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Be Ultimate, Discraft, and the City of Brampton for making this event possible. Be Ultimate is on site. Go have a look at all their amazing swag and CUUC attire. All right, Chantal, I know the match is starting, but sorry. I'm also not commentating alone. I'm commentating with.
Chantal Dussault. Hello, Devin Asamoah. So set this up for us. What are we watching? What is this game and what's at stake here today?
Yeah, so essentially, this is the third match of pool play in this women's pool. Each team we're looking at University of Toronto versus the University of Manitoba, U of T in light, U of M in dark, are both 2-0 in their pool. So U of T have had two Universe wins over the University of Guelph and Queens. And Manitoba got a comfortable win over Queens to start the day and then just beat Guelph on Universe. How about that?
It's an exciting day. All the pool play is very tight. So both of these teams, this is their first day of tournament because University Nationals is actually a 3-day tournament for some teams that are fighting for a spot to be in the top 8. But both Toronto and Manitoba already had their spots secured, and so this is their first day. Today is pool play, and tomorrow will be the playoffs.
All right, let's get to the game at hand. We have Gal with the disc working through this Manitoba zone, giving it to Zhang with a great catch up there. Zhang dumping it back to Young. And Gao just cleaning up the garbage there. Over to Ho. And Zhang just missing it, just falling short of it.
That was a great bid by Zhang, a great second effort.
So Manitoba here with an opportunity to break. They did pull the disc, meaning they're starting on defense. And Chantal, can you tell us the importance of holds and breaks in Ultimate?
Right, so holds. And here we have a long throw. Let's just see how this plays out.
And great read by Bannister from Manitoba, putting them up there. Did you see who got the assist there?
I did not. We should check that out in the replay. But the observers have confirmed this is the first point. So Manitoba on the board first. What about that, Devon?
Yeah, Manitoba starting with a break. That's exactly how you'd like to start a game off. And a significant thing about this Manitoba team is like a lot of them are coming from Fusion and PBHD, the two top touring teams out of Winnipeg. And U of T on their own. They have a lot of touring players coming from Strawberry Kitty Kisses, a couple of Dino recruits from the junior divisions, Jess Ho playing for TT, Jocelyn Lee for Sixers. So many down the board with experience.
A lot of depth on both teams. So let's talk about that question you just asked before, the break. So this is a break for Manitoba. What does that mean? It means that Manitoba pulled that disc, and so they gave it to Toronto. And so we expect Toronto then to score because they would have to there would have to be a turnover in order for Manitoba to score. But if Manitoba scores, which they did, that's a break. So when you pull and you score, that's a break. And if you hold, the opposite of break, then the score would be equal because it would be each person scoring one after the other. But now a break gives the advantage to Manitoba.
Thank you for that explanation, Chantal. And can you give us a couple players to watch going into this match here?
There are quite a few. And let's talk about Toronto because they have the disc right now. They're in possession. And you can see some fancy work by Gao. Gao is one of the top handlers, the one that's receiving now. And she can really thread that disc anywhere she wants.
And who's joining Gao on this U of T side?
So we've got... that's a great D.
That's a great D from Bannister, the one that just caught the goal for Manitoba to get a break.
Number 2, Bannister, yes.
However, Gao is calling a foul on Freeling, saying that she obstructed her throw, and that's why it ended up there.
Yes.
And that's a great thing about Ultimate here. You know, you do get the chance to call your own fouls and discuss them with your teammates. And that's kind of how the spirit of the game works here.
Yes. And Gao is joined in the handling team by Zhang and by
Alicia?
number 18, Jocelyn Lee.
And what about for Manitoba? What are some key players to watch for that team?
Manitoba has a lot of depth. As you know, Winnipeg has a very strong player development program. And so some of the key players are going to be Merritt, who is one of a player that's, sorry, I'm on the wrong team.
That's okay.
um,
Well, you've heard of the Cho sisters, right? Both coming from the U20 and U24 experiences recently.
Exactly. So we have, is it Catherine and Emily?
Yep.
And we have Wright as well, who's a key player on. I'm just looking for her number so that we can
that's
spot
number
her.
22.
Number 22. So that'll be one to watch on the Manitoba side.
Yeah, and I think Wright got some Team Canada experience in playing U20 last summer in Poland. All right, so it looks like the foul has been resolved. It's a foul uncontested, so Gal will keep this disc and keep working through the pressure of this Manitoba zone. This looks like a 3-3-1 zone, pretty classic, pretty standard.
That's right. So on the far side, we see that there's also Jenny Lee that's handling. So I'm not sure exactly what their handler formation. Yeah, it looks like they're playing with 4 handlers at this time.
Yep. So we see Gao, Young, Zhang, and Lee there in the handling core. Gao to Zhang. Zhang faking off some options from teammates, just dumping, resetting the disc to Young. Gao getting the disc in the middle of the field. Mark poaching off her.
Gao will have a coordinating role on this play and on a lot of plays.
Zhang to Ho. And Ho continuing to
number 5, I believe.
Number 5, and that is Zhang there for the score. So great start for Tula, getting onto the board here now.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was number 6, Emily Zhang.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So Ho to Zhang, Emily Zhang.
So 1-1, a break on each side. How do you think Toronto feels about that point?
I think Toronto, they're pretty happy with that clean hold. Clean hold meaning they didn't have any turnovers. So essentially, they're on the board now. They are down a break, unfortunately, but as we've seen through many games today, it's a long game, and breaks can happen, runs can happen. So here we go. And what about the coaching staffs for both teams? Do you know anything about them?
I did talk to them. Let me look up here what I learned from the coaching staff. So one of the interesting things about the Manitoba team is that the captains are actually organizing everything. So because this team, Manitoba, is not recognized as a varsity team, the captains organize the transportation, the jerseys, the fundraising. However, they do have a fantastic coach, Samantha Burridge, who is not just a fantastic coach this year, but she actually won Coach of the Year last year at CUUC 2022. So they are also accompanied by Dwayne, who is helping out calling lines. That's on the Manitoba side.
Nice. And that was just he with the pull here. We have Manitoba getting in with Wright. Wright working through, looking like a 3-3-1 from Toronto here. And that was Tar feeding it back to Wright. That's Gagnon with the disc. Feeding Wright again. Right to Fradkov. Fradkov just going with Wright, and Wright just slipping out of her hand. So now U of T with a chance to break. That is Chen picking up the disc, and a great layout by number 99, Wu. Wu getting some experience on Strawberry Kitty Kisses this past summer. So BC product there. Wu throwing it up the line to Yen. So Wu to Yen for the score, and Tula gets their own break, putting them back on serve. Tula up 2-1 now.
Great job to the Toronto ladies for that good point. And what was key in that point, Devon, was really that defense in that zone that they had up here. It was so busy. Manitoba did not have many options. And with the wind, there's considerable wind that's blowing towards the camera. There's about a 30-kilometer wind at this time. The Manitoba players had some trouble. They were struggling to get that off the sideline, and there was a bit of a fumble, and Toronto was able to really use that cup to cause a turnover and to score that.
Yeah, lovely there. And you saw Shannon Wu get horizontal there to save possession. Chantel, have you had any layouts in your playing days?
I have. Unfortunately, I nearly dislocated my shoulder,
Oh,
and so
no.
I eased up on the layouts. But I think that the teams and the programs now are a lot better at teaching how to lay out properly, and you could see that that was just great form in that layout. And it was even just a one-handed catch. I think it was even potentially the left hand, which is so skillful. And it was really a really clean way to lay out, which is flat, the whole body absorbing the shock, also symmetrical, both sides, not to give a shock to one of the shoulders. So really good form and good bid, good intensity.
And I believe this is he again on the pull. He, first-year player coming from the Dino program. So her junior team actually won nationals. So she's looking to get another win in a row. So again, the same U of T zone. It's looking like a diamond for McFadden and Wright working together to start. So McFadden to Gobert. Gobert sending it over to Gagnon. Gagnon continuing to Fradkov. Fradkov back to McFadden just now as Toronto melts the zone. Right, unmarked right now, assessing the field to Gagnon. Right, trying to go every other here now. You see Manitoba organizing those in a vert stack. And McFadden trying to continue to right there, but just catching the wrong edge in the wind. So Tula has a chance to march. Would you call it? Is there an upwind, downwind in this game, Chantel?
It's really hard to say. I think the wind is cross side.
So it's more of a crosswind coming into the camera that you see here as a viewer. And UT, we have Tran here now.
Yes. However, that is what's going to happen. The edge is going to catch when someone flicks going to the left-hand side.
Yes, and even though Henkel caught it on the far side there, it was out of bounds, unfortunately. So we have McFadden picking up again. Swinging the disc to Neeson.
A beautiful break side throw.
And Neeson to Gobert. Gobert getting horizontal to catch the score. Gobert getting some experience playing Fusion, and Neeson coming from that PBHG program in Winnipeg. So experience all around for these girls.
Experience all around. How do you think the Toronto team is going to respond to this now fantastic offense by Manitoba?
Well, I think...
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think this Toronto... it's pumped up. This O-line just saw their D-line get a break, so they know they're just as good as them. They're going to be in every single point. And, they just know that they can do it themselves. So I'm sure this O-line rested. Even though they played such an intense universe point game, these players are young. They can play many points in a row. They're not going to be tired, especially if it means to win the pool here. And what winning the pool does mean here is that you're going to be the top seed 3-0, which means you're going to play the 4th seed in the other pool. So likely a team that went 0-3, still possible to get upset, but it's just an advantage playing a potentially weaker opponent.
So it is 2 for Manitoba and 2 for Toronto. Toronto in white and Manitoba in dark. In beautiful Brampton today with the 13-degree Celsius weather. Quite a bit of wind. It was forecast, rain was being forecasted, but we've so far avoided that.
Thankfully. All right, to the game now here. I think that is Manitoba with the pull here. I think that was Wong on the pull. So we have picking up Young, working it around to Lee. Lee looking for options, hitting her open teammate Ho. Oh, and just a little miscommunication between Ho and Lee. Wong opting not to pick it up, letting Freeling pick it up to help march them up to a break. Battling this crosswind.
There was also good defensive pressure there by Manitoba and Mendolia.
Yeah, and that was just Stanky missing the connection to Cho there. So Gao picking up the disc, trusted handler. Fun fact about Gao is she actually played with McMaster for the past few years, winning 2 back-to-back championships, and now starting her masters there at U of T. But Zhang with the disc on the far side here. Zhang to Lee.
With what looked like a bit of a fumble in the end zone, a great throw, great attempt at a catch.
Yes,
but
and there are 2 Lees on this team. So we have Jocelyn Lee, number 18 from Sixers, and Jenny Lee, number 16. So we can't even say Lee J.
Manitoba.
All right, and that is Alicia Zhang there with the pressure from Toronto on getting the block. Jess Gao going to pick up the disc, talking to her team, telling them to get organized in this vert stack. We have Young there, back there, initiating. All right. Gao swinging to Lee. Lee to Ho. And a nice layout attempt there by Zhang, Emily Zhang from that Dino program in BC. And, big hug here from Wong. And that was Ho getting in the way of that.
You mentioned that some of the players come from BC. There are actually 3 first-year players that are playing with Toronto this year, and there are 4 East Coast imports also with Toronto.
Wow, and that was Jessica stepping up for that backhand, and Dick got a hand on that, but Zhang still saved it. So Ho continuing the disc around. Now we have Zhang with the disc here, getting the disc from Young. Oh, Zhang continuing to Lee. Some exciting grabs here.
Good footwork.
Hitting Gao in the middle, continuing to Young. Oh, Gao going for a bid, but it looks like Gao's going down with an injury. It looks like it might just be a calf cramp, Chantal, these players have been playing since 11 this morning, so this is their 3rd game of the day.
And it is tricky weather because we do not feel the thirst. So sometimes, I'm not saying that that's what's happening in this case, but sometimes cramps can be caused by lack of hydration. And this is tricky weather because we don't feel the need to drink water.
Yes, and teammates running onto the field, getting Jessica some water. Hopefully there's a jar of pickles around and maybe a banana to get that potassium up.
Or some magnesium pills.
And
all of those good things.
Gao obviously taking an injury timeout.
Hopefully she can stretch
Thankful
that
she's safe and healthy there. Looks like Merritt is coming back on for Gao. Merritt getting some experience with Montreal Venus this summer. So coming from Quebec here.
As I was saying, they have quite a few imports, which is great. And I think it's one of the great things about University Ultimate because you have to be enrolled in one university.
Yep.
And so you'll have a mix.
So Manitoba picking up the disc. We got Wong on this coffin corner, some may say. She's pivoting, faking it out. Great grab there by Freeling. Freeling hucking it up to Man. Oh, and Man with a great read, bringing it down. Freeling calling for the disc back. So we got Wong going up line. Some great great handler defense from Zhang. Getting the disc back to Bannister. Bannister looking back to Wong. Wong going every other now, really trying to quarterback this team. Wong with the inside flick.
To Dick.
And a nice layout score from Dick. Dick being called not in. They're just at the doorstep here, trying to organize, looking for options. Taking this smart reset dump to Freeling. Freeling to Bannister. Bannister looking at a stack and gets an open teammate. And that is number 11, Sankmar, with the score. So, what a start to the game.
So, the score is now 3-2 for Manitoba.
Yes, great hold there for Manitoba after a couple of turns. Or is that a break? I feel like it's a break because Gao, Lee, Zhang were all on the field for Toronto. So this might be a break for Manitoba there.
I think we should start taking notes there, Devon.
Yes. A little behind the scenes. Our experienced commentators like Etienne, They're marking down every point, identifying all the breaks, and some rookie commentators like us haven't taken notes from that. But now
We're
we
learning.
have.
We're learning how to commentate. And
Yeah, let's talk about that, Chantal. This is your first time commentating day 2 of the experience. How's it going?
it's going well. I find that it's great to do it with energetic and fun people like you and Etienne, absolutely. And these teams are so fantastic. The energy that's coming off of the teams and the dedication. I mean, it's just such a privilege to do. And I know for you as well, it's your first tournament. How's it going for you?
Oh, it's been pretty exciting. A little nerve wracking on the stream yesterday, but now you just get settled in, and it's kind of just like chit chatting with your friends about Ultimate.
It is. It is. I guess I wish I knew the players myself. I wish I knew everyone myself.
Well, Chantal, if you want to take a university course, I'm sure a lot of schools would love to pick you up, and I'm sure you have a bunch of eligibility left.
Okay, I'll think about that, Devon. Yes.
All right, so Chantal is going to be the first university player to go from commentating the Division 2 playing next year. You heard it here first.
Why not?
So it is 3-2
So
right
the team
now.
looks like it's been taking a timeout. Timeout called to recenter, to potentially talk about strategy. Maybe the coaches have seen something. Maybe they want to adjust the lines because Gao was a key player. We saw some previous matches with Toronto, and Gao was a central player, we must say. Devon, she played the majority of the points with Toronto. So perhaps the fact that she's not going to be on the lineup here requires a little bit of adjustment, which I am sure the coaches and the team can do. And it looks like they are ready with their lineup. And Manitoba is going to pull.
Yep, so we got Wong there pulling again. Big pull, getting well past half, just about the brick mark. So the usual O line from U of T, Young with a disc. Oh,
Usual
sorry.
except for Gao.
Yeah, usual except for disc. So sorry. A foul called there. So it looks like Marshall just hit the hand of the Toronto player, and she's explaining that it obstructed her disc. That is.
So while they talk through that, I was mentioning that the coaching staff is probably realigning the lineups for Toronto, and the coaching staff is led by Jade Huang.
Huang Fu, yes. Huang Fu and Lyle getting some experience with Sixers right now. Getting ready for San Diego next week, actually. So back to the game. We have Merritt continuing to Zhang. Zhang just missing that upline flick. You can just see the wind just caught the edge and turned. So Manitoba has a chance to get another break and potentially go up 2 breaks.
The wind has picked up, Devon. We're even having trouble hearing ourselves with this mic. The wind has picked up, so I'm expecting it to be more significant in terms of the effect it has on throws now, from now on to the end of the. Yeah, exactly like this.
You saw the throw right there, just trying to connect with Neufeld, but just rising a little too much, making it too hard to grab. So we got Young picking up the disc, and the wind just catching the edge there too. So like you did mention, the wind will be wreaking havoc on some of these throws.
Players will adjust. They will notice that the wind has increased, and they will be leaning into the throw and just making that lunge a little bit more pronounced.
Yeah, so we have Bannister just continuing to Neufeld here. Manitoba working their way up 1 throw at a time. Dick with the disc now. Dick going long.
And again,
turn.
The wind pushed that down. It just will not carry that far with that kind of wind pushing down on it.
No, and so Toronto back with the disc with another chance to hold. All right, so Young in the tank top. And that was Bannister getting in the way of the hat. Freeling picking it up, continuing to Bannister, and that is a not called, not in from the observer, Nelson. So we have Bannister with the disc at the front, continuing, but that will be a pick call. She was suspiciously open there in the end zone.
Yes, we were watching the very disciplined stack in the end zone, in the center of the end zone, with her alone popping out of it, which was, as you
So
say, suspicious.
yeah, so Zhang going to catch up there. All right, so Bannister with the disc at the front of the end zone. Hits the inside flick there to Neufeld, it looks like. And another break for Manitoba, going up 4-2 now. Oh, 4-2 for Manitoba. Obviously, with Gao injured, it looks like Toronto's going to have to reshuffle their lines, but we see Gao up and walking, so she is doing better after that calf cramp. Maybe even playing this next point.
Perhaps she's walking in that direction. Let's see what happens there. So a lot of discipline on the Manitoba side that we saw there in order to score in that last point. We saw that they were stacked very centrally. There's a lot of open field on both the closed and open sides, and a beautiful inside throw to score. So good execution, good planning, good discipline. Great point by Manitoba.
Yeah, and in that previous point, we did mention two Sixers players who are coaching, Jade Huang Fu and Tai Malau, but we also have to give a shout out to Jess Wu,
Exactly.
coming from the coaching staff.
Yes, she's an alumni of the U of T team, and she's also an ex-Sixers captain.
Okay, so Sixers really feeding into this University of Toronto Tula team.
Mm-hmm.
So Manitoba back on defense, 2 breaks in a row now. We got Wong pulling, and let's see what U of T can do here.
The teams have been using different types of offensive strategies. We saw previously Toronto was just applying a vertical stack that was on an angle. Let's see here what they choose to start with on this offense.
So the collective merit to Gao to Amendalia. Looking for options. Mendelia, going to Lee. Lee hitting ground. Lee on this far sideline. We have Gao going up line now, and Lee to Gao, and Wong just getting in the way of that one. So you just saw the smothering pressure of Manitoba just giving no options to Toronto.
Right. And the difficulty is doubled because the wind is in their face. When they're stuck on this sideline close to the camera, the wind is against them. So you saw that Gao was very open as a reset, but the thrower did not feel like that was a throw that was possible at that moment. So we have to respect that.
So Wong here with the disc, looking for Cho, but Ho getting in the way of that. Gao continuing to Zhang, and U of T's back in the points column, getting their 3rd point of the game.
What a great defensive play getting in the way of that throw. Really good field awareness, good agility with the feet. And then for Gao to pick up and to quickly throw that to that receiver in the end zone. That was just quick ultimate. A lot of experience there.
Yeah, so we're 7 points into this match, Chantel. What's the vibe of the game so far?
It's both teams are very intense. It could be anyone's game, obviously. I mean, it's such a close game. The vibe of the match is that the wind has picked up, and it doesn't sound like much, but I think that it's making everyone a little bit more edgy because their throws that they're used to throwing and used to succeeding with may not be working right now. So I think that we should expect to see a little bit more conservative plays and more flat discs, I would anticipate. And probably the coaches are saying that to their teams now. You know, make sure you get low, make sure you throw flat, throw what you know, and go for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to keep continuing to see these teams go through their zones. U of T probably coming out in their signature diamond look, but we'll see. We have He here on the pull. And looks like the pull will stay in bounds, and they are on this low side. Yen coming quickly to set that mark. So we have Korea coming in, giving it to Cho. Cho just threading the needle through the zone to McFadden. So Manitoba just doing a good job of swinging, hitting the open options. McFadden continuing through to Neeson, working with Cho, and then to right to Neeson again. U of T has transitioned out of their zone into matchup. And Neeson putting a shot up to Cho and bringing it down. So a nice clean hold for the Manitoba offense. Neeson to Cho.
It is caught in the end zone by Cho. And again, I think some of the handling there was key, and just some good field awareness by McFadden made a big difference, because there was a defense by Toronto. There was a block of the disc with a hand by some of the Toronto players, but McFadden was in the right spot at the right time and had enough field awareness to catch that and to make sure that Manitoba could keep possession of the disc. Fun fact, McFadden is related to, for those of us who were on the previous live stream, her older brother also plays for Manitoba. So same family. McFadden with that great field awareness, giving Manitoba a score for, where's our score now?
For 5-3. So they're still up a break or two against Toronto.
5-3 for Manitoba.
All right here. So
what do you think that Toronto is going to do when they receive this disc?
I think Manitoba's probably going to set a zone. Shocking. And Toronto's just going to look to swing. You know, we've seen Gao, Young, Lee, just Zhang, all on the handle score. So they're probably just going to swing and hope to be patient until a shot opens up. So we got Wang here with the pull. Wang's been trusted on the pulling duties for today, and we know how important those are in Ultimate. So Gao rushing to pick up the disc and center it. So, not a zone. We have Toronto working against a match defense here. So, Young with the disc. Young to Lee, and Lee just not connecting, just off her hands there. So, we have Freeling picking up. Freeling to Bannister in the middle of the field. Great field positioning for Manitoba. Working with Mann here. Mann looking for options. Getting out to Bannister. Bannister really getting open here. And Bannister looking for Mann there in the end zone, but I think it must have been a pick call. That didn't go. So we have Zhang with the disc.
It was caught by the wind, and the Toronto player caught it first.
Yeah, and that was Zhang there with the D. Continuing up to Gao. U of T wasting no time trying to move the disc.
That's right.
I don't know if Ho was the intended target there, but she's there. And Ho putting it up to Zhang. Just a little too far for Zhang. We've definitely seen Zhang fly. Zhang catching a layout score in the end zone to beat Queens-on Universe in the last game. So it must have just been too far. So for Manitoba, we have Freeling with the disc again. Freeling to Bannister.
Oh.
And it looks like Zhang getting in the way of the pass to Cinq-Mars. So Gao with great field positioning here to get a hold for Toronto. We have Young in the reset.
Look at that diagonal stack.
Very disciplined here. So Gao to Zhang. And Zhang, such a great and trusty target. 5-4 in favor of Manitoba. So
a close game.
Yeah, you mentioned that diagonal stack in the end zone there. What's the point of that?
So I laugh because I know you know, and I think you're a great commentator for asking me. So as you know, Devon, the great thing about that stack is that you're creating a lot of space, and especially because it was Gao that had the disc.
Mm-hmm.
Gao was off a little bit more on the open side, and that stack was further away, giving her pretty much the entire open side free. But knowing how much the handlers have that ability to swing and to go break side, you can never leave your player. So creating a 45, especially a quick 45 turn like this, didn't give much time for Manitoba to adjust their defense. What they could have done perhaps is leave a few on the open side, a few ladies on the close side, and then poached, but they didn't have time to adjust because that stack was put so quickly in a 45 orientation. What do you think could be done now. Why do you think there's a timeout that's been called?
So I think Toronto is down a break, and they probably called this timeout to now stack this D line to try to get a break back. But that is just the commentators guessing because we don't actually get told who takes these timeouts.
They don't send us a little note.
No, I think the observers could, give us a little signal. Okay, so it looks like they're resuming. The usual suspects will be out on this Manitoba O point. So we got right, Cho, Emily, or I think that might be.
Is that Gagnon?
Yep. And now, yep, I was right. So taking this timeout, we have Gao playing a D point here, stretching out those calves. So after that calf cramp, she's doing everything to prevent getting another cramp. Zhang also doubling over. Ho, who usually plays O points, is here. So those three players coming in, trying to make a difference for this D point.
And Devon, why is it important for teams to win today, given that tomorrow they can still access the championship? Why is it that they're fighting so hard to win every point today?
Yeah, so winning your pool, you actually just get to play the 4 seed in the other pool. So probably a team that went 0-3, and it's just a more ease of mind here. And also, it's fun to win games. So yeah, so
We're here to win.
Yes, back to the action here. We have Gobert swinging to McFadden, Gagnon with the disc, pivoting low, working through this Toronto zone. Over there to right. Right, back to Gagnon. Gagnon to McFadden, to Gobert. Right, working against Gao one-on-one there in the zone there, but right, putting it up. Neeson continuing it to right. Right, looking off that deep strike, a little tempting. Gobert in the middle of the field. We have Cho calling for the disc there. Ooh, Amandalian providing. Oh, sorry, that's Craig providing a lot of pressure on the D there. So Cho to McFadden in the middle of the field. Gobert on the break side. And what great flow from Manitoba there. Observers calling it a goal. 6-4 for Manitoba women's here. So
what we saw there was that there was great disc movement, and it started with Gobert, who handed it off to Cho in the center, and then Cho basically had that choice of where to send it. She sent it off to McFadden on the far side, and then it made its way naturally into the end zone, which was on the break side. So just a really good flow from the Manitoba women. You can see they can anticipate where their players are going to be, where they need the player to be. They play together for a long time, again, based on that development program in Manitoba. They know each other, they can anticipate the play, and they can create that fluid flow.
Fluid indeed, just working it from one sideline to the other, and Gobert just being unchallenged there on the break side. So we see now Zhang, Gao, Young tried to double there. Now they're playing their third point in the row. What's the effect of that?
Depends on how much juice they have. If they're in shape and if they've got legs still, which typically university players have a lot of physical strength and physical stamina. So I think they know what they're doing, calling the right players at the right time.
Yeah, and you have to try things out, right? This is the last game of the day. You don't need anything in the tank. You got a full night's rest. So why not throw everything out here, trying to win your last game and win the pool? So
Exactly.
Back to the match here. We have Wong, our trusty puller from Manitoba, pulling. Great pull. Just out of bounds there. So Gao
in bounds. It might have touched. No, you're right. It landed out of bounds.
Yeah, landed out of bounds, giving Gao the chance to center the disc here. There's going to be Dick assigned to marking Gao and trying to pressure her and get the disc out of her hands. So it looks like U of T working out of a split stack here. Lee going, continuing to Amanda Leon. Play executed great. Lee back in the middle here, swinging to Gao. Oh, and just losing focus there. Wong putting it up, looking for Dick in this sky battle, and Dick using her height. Oh, called not in, but Dick using that height to win that sky battle over Gao. So back to Freeling here, just outside of the end zone. Wong looked like unmarked, but finding it, going up line, and Wong up there getting the break for Toronto from the assist from Freeling. So we have 7-4 for Manitoba, getting their third break of the half. What's been helping power Manitoba here to getting all these breaks?
I was just thinking that. I was thinking to myself, what is the secret in this sauce here? What's creating that winning combination? Right? I mean, I think it's just basic good ultimate, but there seems to be a mix of physical strength, stamina, anticipation, discipline. Have you noticed there was also a play that was played, which was the split stack? I wonder if Manitoba is playing any plays that are helping them, or if they're going more for like the organic, intuitive type of ultimate.
Well, I think Toronto's been throwing a zone at Manitoba a lot, so zones don't bode well for set plays here. But with Manitoba going down in match the past couple of points, I think Toronto took the time here to call a set play, and they ran a classic Air Canada AC for most people coming out of Toronto, and it's a play that Toronto's GOAT, their open touring team in the city, runs a lot. Yeah, and it's just basically like you isolate two players on one side of the field. One strikes deep, one comes under. If they don't get the disc, the one who struck deep will come back under, and the one who originally came under will go back out. So just a way to make it a 2-on-2 game instead of a 7-on-7 game.
And that did create some movements, but then there was just a little fumble, and possession was lost, and that happens. What are your thoughts on what's creating this slight advantage for Manitoba?
I think Manitoba is just doing a great job of capitalizing on their mistakes, right? Because you have so many skilled players on Toronto, and even like just a little bobble here and there. And Manitoba's doing a great job of hitting their open options and not giving them the disc back. And that's why Toronto called the timeout to just settle the girls. You have Gao, Lee, Zhang, Young still out there. So Toronto coaching staff, they have trust in their players. Manitoba here, putting on the same suspects on D. Wong still going to be pulling. You're going to see Dick and Bannister there. So Manitoba also showing trust. So Gao centering it up to Young.
Oh,
And just a quick run through D by Neufeld. And Freeling putting it up right away. Just a little too far for Neufeld. Almost getting that double happiness.
caught by the wind there and went a little bit further than intended.
So you see Gao picking up the disc. They are in a split stack here. 2 on one side, 3 on the other. Gao looking for options, hitting her reset up line in Young. Young to Merritt, I believe. Merritt to Lee, diving for that catch. I'm not sure if this was intended for her. Lee continuing to Zhang. Zhang waving the other Zhang under, and then hitting Lee. Lee really picking up the pace for this Toronto squad. Looking for the original target in Ho, but unfortunately miscue, and it looks like another calf cramp. Unfortunately, that is Ho coming in with some experience from TT this summer. It looks like the girls need more hydration, Chantel.
I mean, we're not doctors, but it's one hypothesis, Devon. And we're not even at halftime yet. So halftime is going to happen when one of the teams reaches 8 points or when 40 minutes of time has elapsed of game time. And so we are probably not very far from that time now, but we are not there. So hopefully there are not too many more calf cramps.
Yep, and so
it's 5:20 now.
Yeah, and it looks like Wu is coming on for Ho there. So Wong with the disc. Zhang pushing off in the middle, leaving Freeling free. Oh, and that is Merritt coming through with a D. Gao picking up with Young in the reset space. Looks like a nice vertical stack, but Manitoba has a little poach look. Someone poaching in on the open side and the break side, making it a little harder. So Gao to Young. Young not liking her option at the front, hitting Gao on the reset. Manitoba really sticking with this poach look, making it really hard for Toronto to hit their options. Zhang in the middle now. Zhang to Merritt. And Merritt continuing to woo. Woo to Gao, and Gao just going up line, getting free.
Great discipline by the Toronto handlers there, taking their time, looking into the end zone, what's happening, and preferring to dump and swing and pop it in when the time is right and when the right receiver is open.
Yep, that was a very nice flow there. You saw Gao going from one sideline to the other, but again, this team is more than just like Gao, Lee, the girls playing U24. They're really like using a lot of their handlers. So you saw Wu touching this, you saw Young in there, you saw Zhang in there. So really spreading out the touches here.
That's right. They do have depth in their handling. It's not just one or two players, which is going to make a big difference in this tournament because it's a 2-day tournament and there are many more matches to go tomorrow.
Yeah, we commentated the University de Montreal Open team yesterday, and they only had about 12 or 13 players. And I know today they got a couple reinforcements, and with a short roster of 14 or so guys, they're probably 2-1 through pool play.
That is a really, really short roster. Today, the Toronto team here has 24 women, and the Manitoba team have 21 women. So that's still 3 lines at least.
Yes, multiple lines here. So you can see the sense of urgency from Toronto. You have Zhang, you have Gao, you have Merritt, you have Emily Zhang, all doubling over to try to get this break. So that is he with the pull here. Right picking it up to McFadden. McFadden trusted with the handler duties. Over here to Neeson. And Neeson just missing the throw to Cartier. Oh, he just with a put right away. Zhang with a big bid trying to contain it, but not going her way. So McFadden picking it up right away to right. Hitting Cho. Toronto in a person defense. Neeson over here with the disc. Now we have Korea with the disc on this low side with the wind. Continuing to Cartier. Cartier, a grad student, actually just playing masters this summer. So bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to this young Manitoba team.
Manitoba just playing really organically here. We see no set plays, just going with the flow, which sometimes ends up in a little interference. But
yeah, but Cho to McFadden nonetheless. And just a little miscue there. He getting in the way of that block. Toronto really pushing for this break point here.
Absolutely.
So now with a bit of a side stack now, Gao going to isolate Yen in the lane. Yen being marked so closely by Fradkov, playing great defense, but Zhang getting open. Great defense by Cho there in the lane on Craig. The other Zhang getting the disc, waving off Merritt, telling her to get out of the open side. Oh, and we have Zhang looking for he, but Cho getting in the way of that. Right, picking up the disc right away, looking to move the disc. McFadden using all that time to catch the play. Manitoba just recycling the disc here between McFadden and Wright, waiting for options to appear downfield. They're not scared to swing this disc laterally. And we got Cho there. Beautiful lead pass by Wright. And what a layout D by Emily Zhang. Getting the disc back for Toronto. The pass looked really open, but she just shut the door.
Well, it looked open if there was not going to be a layout, but that was not the plan for Emily Zhang, number 6. She had a layout up her sleeve.
So Gao picking up the disc, Working with Merritt up line. Oh, great footwork there, but just the edge catching the win and a little too difficult. So Korea looking to move the disc. Manitoba's really picking up the disc right away. Hitting McFadden now in the middle of the field. Cho working against Zhang, their U24 teammates. And Cho just missing that. And like I mentioned, so both Cho sisters, Emily Zhang and Jessica, all played on the same U24 mixed team this summer. So they must be very familiar with each other.
That's right. Sometimes we get excited and we put a little bit of pepper on our throws and they
Yes.
overshoot.
So Cho really putting some good defense on Zhang in the lane here. Gao just putting it up.
For 2 Manitoba receivers.
Probably a high stall look, just working it up. So Manitoba back on the disc again, looking for a hold here. We have Fradkov in the middle. Gao playing some nice reset defense on right, making it hard for the disc. And yeah, Fradkov just had to toss it up there. So, Chantal, I mentioned that we have some U24 teammates playing against each other. Have you had any experience having to play against some teammates before?
Oh, yes. You mean me and some friends that are teammates? Yes, in other teams or in league or things like this. It's been really fun to match up against people that we know and just tease each other and play really hard and just have a great time at that.
Yeah.
It's always a nice experience. And because Ultimate Frisbee is a community.
Yeah, and I heard a great quote that I wish I could credit this person. If they're your opponent and they haven't been your opponents are just teammates you haven't played with yet.
Oh, that is so true in Ultimate Frisbee. And we see a timeout called by Manitoba, right? Who has possession.
So great choice here because there's been a couple of turns, and Manitoba sensing the importance of this point to just get in that hold. So why not take a little bit of a rest? Also giving Toronto a rest, doubling over players, trying to get this break. So
yeah, with the time that's passed, it sounds like we probably went through the halftime already.
No, I don't think they've taken halftime yet.
No?
We would have definitely taken a break here at commentators, grabbing some water.
So, but the match started at 4:35 and it's 5:30. So I think that the halftime has elapsed.
So it's probably this is probably the last point before half, but 7-5 for Manitoba now. If Manitoba does score, it'll be that natural half at 8, and if Tula scores here and gets the break, it should be that that timed half that you see halfway through the game. All right, so it looks like Manitoba is set up here in a hose stack. Now Toronto has a chance to set their defense and decide what matchups they want. So Gal will be tapping the disc in against right here. All right. Cho getting isolated, getting the disc here. Cho firing long. It looked like Zhang and Fradkov clipped heels there. Fradkov calling the foul, saying that the tripping impeded her play of the disc, which is her right. So now they're going to be talking about it. The beautiful part about Ottoman. Can you tell us about these people in orange shirts on the field? What are they here for?
Yes, we have observers in Ultimate Frisbee in these kind of live stream games or games of higher stake. We are lucky enough to have observers, and their role is quite limited in the sense that they will look at active calls for lines. So whether the person was in or out, that's an active call, and the observer will say something whether or not they are consulted. However, for things like fouls, the team players will try to work it out, and they may ask for the opinion of the observer, which I believe is what happened in this case. And the observer has ruled that this was a foul, that the offense did have a bid on that throw. Or maybe not. Maybe they decided to throw it back to the thrower.
Yeah, so it looks like Fradkov called the foul, Zhang contesting it. So when you disagree over what happened, you just send the disc back to where you both can agree on, which is the previous throw that happened. So Cho tapping it in, Zhang on the mark. So back to McFadden here. Over to Fradkov again, to McFadden. So Manitoba really working it up win here, with Toronto playing a lot of pressure match defense. So we have Fratkov just sending it up to right. Right called not in by the observer, that active call. Right looking for options. And that is Coria with the disc back to right. Manitoba just cycling. A nice inside there to Neeson. Neeson throwing that OI flick, catching the win, but McFadden bringing it down. So that is 8-5 for that's 8-5 for Manitoba, taking us to halftime.
What made the difference in this, in the point here that was made, was that Wright had that sort of inside throw. So she really broke that mark with her backhand.
Yes, and so 8-5 at half. We will be taking a break, and we'll see you for the conclusion of this tightly contested game. This is Devon Asamoda and
Chantal Dussault.
taking a little bit of a water break.
So we are back after that halftime, and we got the explanation regarding the halftime timing. So it is after 40 minutes. There is a soft halftime, but then the score is +1. And so at that time, the score was noted, and the teams had to get to a +1 or the first team to 8. And that is how the halftime is called. And now we are back with Toronto pulling to Manitoba.
Yes, and I'm also back to, sorry, just taking a break to eat a granola bar. But yes, big pull from Toronto. Oh, and a miscue from right to Gobert. So that's Chung picking up the disc very quickly. And looking like a foul call. We'll see what the observers have to say about this one. But one thing I do love about Ultimate is anytime there's a foul call, to contest it, you must reenact the play.
So it's charades and ultimate.
Yeah, and okay, so it looks like the observer signaling a foul and a contest. So this will be going back to Chung. So
Charades.
yes,
Is that a game that you play, Devon?
like yeah, I think so. I don't know the last time I played charades though, but it is fun. I think I'd be good at it, but I think I'm also good at a lot of things. So confidence is high in this one. All right, so Wong with the disc. Okay, Wong looking for Wu. Ooh, and that disc just hitting the turf there. Right, picking up quickly. Probably seeing Cho deep, but Cho coming back under. Back to McFadden. So Manitoba in their offensive flow again to Gagnon. So Neeson picking up the disc, marked closely by Wu. Right, just calling the disc. Right, seeming to be a central handler for this Manitoba team. Very steady.
That's right. And communicative, which is so important on an O-line.
Yes. So Fradkov resetting back to right. Gobert reeling that throw in. Going up big. Great pressure by Chung. Looks like both players getting up fine. Neeson with the disc now. Just out of the reach from Fradkov. But just before that, Manitoba was doing such a great job swinging the disc back and forth. So Merritt picking up the disc with Cho setting the mark there. Chung just not changing directions quick enough. You can expect right here to pick up the disc. Cho dancing around, but getting the disc here, just outside the end zone. Looking to McFadden around and hitting Gobert on the break side, using all of that height to get there. The observers signal a score, and Manitoba with the clean hold coming out of half, up 9-5 now.
Yes, there were a few turnovers early in that point, maybe some early nerves after the timeout pause, and maybe not remembering exactly how that wind feels. But quickly enough, Manitoba regained possession and made some smart decisions in the end zone to do.
But Chantel, you can imagine that in halftime, these coaches were talking to them about some adjustments to make. Can you imagine what each coaching staff might have said to their team?
At this point, I feel like both teams are playing really well. I mean, there isn't anything to do about a few fumbles, which is what we've seen. Maybe a little bit of the throws need to be adjusted, because we have seen some throws catch. The disc edge has been caught in the wind and has gone up high, which is clearly not the intention of the thrower. So maybe if I was a coach, maybe that's what I would have said.
And have you coached before at all, Chantal?
I have not, actually. Well, I captain teams, but I have not coached a team. What about you? Have you coached?
Kinda. I helped coach Ignite this past summer, the junior team out of Ottawa. So that was a great time. Anytime you're with high school kids, you just learn so much about the realm of social media that you're not on.
That's true. That's true.
I know you have some high school age kids, Chantal. Do they teach you some things?
Oh, Devon, they teach me so much. Teenage kids will teach you.
So you're saying you know the latest TikTok trends?
That is for sure. TikTok, Instagram, I know.
All right, back to the disc. Wong with a big pull. Gao picking up the disc, resetting it here to Young. Oh, and just too far from Gao. Wong picking up the disc right away, putting the shot up to Bannister. It looks like, and it connecting. So Manitoba with their fourth break of the game.
And it just seems like Manitoba, when they get possession of the disc, they can capitalize on that possession. It just feels a little bit more fluid in this match, in this game today. Feels a little bit more secure. There's a few less fumbles. And I think that's the difference that's happening today. Just what have you seen that's making the difference here in the score?
Yeah, the hallmark of this Manitoba D-line has really been quick pickups. As soon as there's a turn from Toronto, they're not letting them set anything. They're just picking up the disc and going. Some shots like that work out, but sometimes it's just picking up the disc and flowing. So not giving this Toronto O-line, who's used to playing O, starting with the disc, time to set up a defensive scheme.
Right. There's also the quality of the execution, right? That last throw, that was a break side throw, and it was perfectly placed. And so there's the execution of the throw and then of the receiving players on the Manitoba side. So just good quality, solid, intense playing of ultimate frisbee by Manitoba.
All right, so Manitoba doubling up Toronto here. This is the top two teams in this side of the women's pool. We'll see. So that is Stanky with the pull. Landing inbounds, you see Young here trying to center to Gao. Gao just in between the end zone and the brick mark. Hitting Ho. Happy Ho is back after her own series of calf cramps. Looks like she's hydrated, Chantel.
Good. We're happy about that. We saw another disc catch the wind there and be just a little bit too high, giving Manitoba possession. But Manitoba overthrowing it back to Toronto.
Yeah, and that's Freeling just missing the connection to Neeson. All right, Gao to Lee. Look for Gao, Lee, and Zhang to do some heavy lifting here to lift Toronto to this hold to Young. Over to Zhang. Oh, nice second bid attempt there, but couldn't connect. So we have the number 80 matchup. Always love a little number matchup between Freeling and Gao. Getting the disc off the line to Neufeld. Continuing to Marshall. Marshall to all right.
Chartier has
We
the
got
disc.
Cartier with the disc again. Marshall with the disc in the middle here. Stanky with the disc now. So Manitoba just getting pushed back here. U of T really pressuring these unders, but that doesn't stop Marshall from getting the disc under anyways.
Very busy on the open side.
And Stanky just missing her target in Neufeld. Toronto with going back upwind here, trying to get a hold, hoping Gao can help will them there. So Gao picking up the disc against Freeling. Hitting Young, but just a little too high. And as you see, Manitoba looking to run and gun. Freeling picking up the disc right away. Gao applying some pressure there on the mark, but Marshall still getting the disc. Style counts rising. Hitting Neufeld. Neufeld just outside the end zone, looking for some options. Great pressure from Gao there on the reset, but Fielding still gets the disc. Marshall just outside of her own end zone. Look at that discipline stack from Manitoba, looking for open options, and Stanky getting the goal from Marshall to put them up 11-10, and that's another break for Manitoba.
A great cut by Stanky, who had pretended she was going on the right hand side and then really planted her foot and went on the left hand side and lost her defender. And that was a classic, really great textbook cut that allowed her to
Yeah,
be free on that open side.
yeah. And as a defender, you are supposed to protect that open side, but just thinking the reset split was a little too more precious, so was taking away that under, and then Stanky just changing directions.
Absolutely.
All right, so a little timely in between points here. I had a cheeky little Quaker granola bar. Chantel, what are some of your favorite mid-game snacks?
Mid-game snacks. I like to bring a collection of sweets and salty snacks for games. So there's these little salty crackers with some seeds in them, and a variety of granola bars. What about you, Devon?
I'm a little simple. Whatever Costco is going to provide me. So I love a little fruit cup, love a little fruit roll up. I have a lot of Fiber One bars, and yeah, it's usually a big breakfast and some snacks throughout, and hope I can survive until dinner time.
When I played tournaments, I did like to bring some protein. So a little bit of like a little can of tuna or a boiled egg. That would do it in the middle of the day. But I do not eat a full sandwich or anything like that.
I can tell you I'm not eating tuna at a tournament. Wong with the pull, bringing us back into the game. Toronto putting on a line here, giving some people a rest here. So unfortunate drop there by Chen. So Wong picking up right away. Again, Manitoba with those quick transitions. Wong with the inside flick. Great reflexes by Sankmara to save the disc. We have Bannister here just outside the end zone. You see that? You hear the end zone calls from the sideline. Wong just outside. Looking for some options here. Inside flick again, and it just bounced off of the hands of Bannister. So, like I was saying, looks like U of T's giving some of their main players a rest here. So, coming out in a side stack, we have Chen picking up the disc with Merritt in the reset space. Let's see how this side stack helps them. To Des with the ISO cut. Chen looking for some options and just missing Wu.
Looks like they ran out of time to really set up some cuts there from that side stack.
So Wu opting not to pick up the disc and let Freeling marshal this offense right now. So Freeling getting that reset to Wong. Hitting that nice inside flick to Bannister. Bannister shaking off some options here at the front of the end zone. Hitting Wong. Oh, Wong going to ground, the disc bouncing up. But it's called up, so it's still in play.
Great spirit.
So Wong originally for Freeling, but we have
Is that Sankmars?
Sankmar?
Is it?
Potentially. Sankmar probably cleaning up the garbage there. Yep, number 11, Sankmar. So, like we said, you have to be skilled to be in the right places to get lucky.
That's right. And you have to have field awareness, which is what she had when she was looking at the play and she knew she could be useful and she threw herself into it. And that worked out. So again, we've seen a few more fumbles from Toronto, which are uncharacteristic, Devon. I mean, given that Toronto is seeded first as this tournament and Manitoba is seeded fourth, what does that mean?
So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird seeding because Manitoba, the defending silver medalist, and Toronto coming in sixth, I believe, last year, being upset in quarters by Queens. So I think what just happened was McMaster was the top women's team winning nationals last year. So they just took the number one seed out of Ontario. So that was Toronto after tournament win and coming second in a tournament. So they've only lost about one game this season, I believe, heading into nationals. So that's why they're seeded so highly over Manitoba, the defending silver medalist.
I see. So this really is anybody's tournament at this point.
Yeah, at this point, you can just see, even in this pool play, there's been about 3 or 4 different universe point games. So it really comes down to who's going to perform and how you match up from team to team. But back to this matchup, we have Manitoba. It's Stanky on the pull. The usual U of T O line back out here after now three breaks in a row for Manitoba to really break open this game to make it 12-5. So Gao centering to Young. Manitoba in a person defense, no more zone. We have Lee there with the disc, working with Amendalia. Zhang getting open under here. Oh, just the around break hitting the turf. And we have a right on the D line here, just picking up. And another turn by Manitoba. So Toronto with another chance to hold. Gao picking up. Gao going long to Zhang.
Just off with her fingertips. I wonder if the player's just trying to get tired. It seems like some of these throws are not as crisp. There might be a little bit less high probability throws.
Yeah, and that's a Cho with the great grab, but it looks like there's going to be a little discussion whether it was up or down. Gao calling it down there, and Lee.
From your best perspective, what do you think that happened?
From my best perspective across the field from the play, I think it was up. What about you, Chantal?
I also thought it was up, but
All
you
right.
know, we are 50 yards away. Maybe we don't have best perspective.
No, we make the rules. It was up. Let's tell the observers. Oh, looks like it's contested. So it looks like the observer just didn't have the best perspective there. So it's going to be sent back to right. But again, incredible athleticism from Cho to even make that bid attempt.
Absolutely. And now caught between the legs by number 4, Neeson.
All right, so that was Porco continuing to Dick. Now we have Stanky in the middle, hitting that inside flick, but inside flick just running away a bit. So like you mentioned, there have been a few more turnovers here as we're getting later into the match, and these girls get more and more fatigued.
Yes, could be fatigue, could be the wind, maybe a little bit of both.
So Amendalian had Zhang going there, going deep, but didn't elect not to hit Gao on the up line. So much speed coming out of that cut. And that is Porco with the D. Manitoba just going to right to Korea.
Very few options.
And that backhand going right. Gao getting the block, sending the high flick with Zhang in the layout, and you just see the excitement from the Toronto sideline, having to make plays all around just to get these holds.
I don't know if you noticed that last throw. It looked like it was about 1 centimeter off the ground. It wasn't even clear if it was up, but clearly all of the players and the observers saw it up, and I think everyone's happy that was a score.
Yeah.
So is it 12?
It is now 12-6 there. So Manitoba's still doubling up on Toronto, but Toronto's not going away.
Toronto's not going away. Tomorrow, we're going to have the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, and it's still anybody's game because in Division 1, everyone has access still to the first place tomorrow. So the outcome of this game is just going to decide on the re-ranks.
Yes, and we know you can't see some of the unsung heroes behind the cameras making this broadcast work, but I would like to give a special shout out to Harry Tratnick, just keeping the viewing party going. He's the reason why you're getting all the zoom ins, all the nice angles, seeing all this amazing Frisbee. So special shout out to Harry. We love you, Harry.
Yes, and a special shout out also to our Ultimate Canada, Sarah, and her trusty assistant,
Rumi,
who are behind us and making sure the streams are live and the rosters are filled in.
All right, so that's he with the pull. Gobert getting the disc just above their brick mark. It looks like Toronto's back out in a zone, Caitlin. I know they took a little break from that, but we'll see how Manitoba, if they remember how to break through that, because it was looking pretty buttery earlier.
It's true. Buttery fingers were present on the field, but hopefully no more. Crisp throws and secure catches.
So McFadden working with Wright here. Oh, a little bit there from Craig. Wright still unfazed by the pressure. Gobert has time for the disc. Over to McFadden. McFadden opting not to throw it deep. Oh, and just off the hands of Wright there. So Toronto zone worked, and now they have a break chance here. They'll probably be looking to sim here to help quarterback them to a break.
And Manitoba playing person-to-person defense here.
So Sim and Shu just working in between, but an unfortunate drop, and Manitoba with another chance to hold.
Toronto also choosing a person-to-person defense.
So it was right to Bannister there, and Bannister just sending it long. He with the D. Gagnon goes down. It looks like no call, and he will just pick up the disc and tap it in. Glad that everyone's all right.
Yes, absolutely.
And unfortunately, that first throw turnover, he to Sim. So Manitoba will have some good field positioning, even though the disc is running away right now.
Yes, it's wobbling away.
Okay, so McFadden's going to come in unmarked here. Wright's just going to work one-on-one.
Second bid, and it is caught. And the observers confirm. Manitoba with the point, caught by Wright.
Yeah, so a bit of confusion there. That's the advantage of Manitoba just coming in very quickly off the turn here. McFadden wasn't even marked, and it was just basically an open side backhand there for the score.
Absolutely. We could see still before that end play, there were a few butterfinger situations. So clearly, maybe some of the. It's also very cold, we should mention, Devin. So not only is there wind, but it's probably something like 11 degrees and windy and not sunny. So you see the women are covered. They're wearing long pants, long sleeves. But sometimes the fingers are cold and the hands are not exactly doing what we'd like them to do, neither on throws nor on catches.
Yeah, you can tell here just, the game is done.
That is game. Okay, time.
I'm so sorry for this underwhelming finish. We did not realize. But, so that is Manitoba taking it 13-6 over Toronto. So that means Manitoba topping the pool. And Chantel, can you give us some information on some streaming tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely. Our streaming team is going to be back. So we'll have Devin and myself, Chantal, and Etienne streaming 4 games tomorrow. So we're starting at 9:55 with the women's quarterfinals, 11:35 with the open semifinals, 1:15 with the open finals, and 2:55 with women's final. Those are going to be tomorrow. So 2 open and 2 women's matches in Division 1. And we are looking forward to it.
Yes, and with the results in now, I'll just update you on what's happening around. So Manitoba wins Pool A. Toronto will come in second in Pool A with a 2-1 record. We don't have the results of the other pools, so I can't set the quarterfinals for you. But open, we have the quarterfinals set. So Manitoba open topped their pool over Montreal, and then McGill and McMaster filled in the rest of that pool there. And on the other side, Queens going 3-0, beating you Ottawa there at the top of the pool, and then Sherbrooke and Victoria filling out the bottom. So your open quarterfinal matchups, you'll have the number 1 seed versus the number 5 seed, Manitoba versus Victoria. You'll have Ottawa versus McGill, a rematch of the semifinals last year. It was pretty exciting. I was a player in it. McGill was up 9-6, but Ottawa pulled out the win 10-9, going 3 breaks in a row. Sorry for that tidbit.
No, that's exciting. And we've seen some of those turnovers and some of those changes in direction. So this can happen.
And then we have Queens versus McMaster. and Montreal versus Sherbrooke, Battle of Quebec there at the bottom of the open bracket. So we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for joining in today. And this is Devon Asimoda
and
and
Chantal Dussault. And we will
signing
see you
off for
tomorrow.
Ultimate Canada.